Okay, Jack. So my big take of the weekend. Listen, we all saw what happened in Miami. We get all that. But I think really, if you really look into it, it's just a glimpse of what's been happening in the NFL over the last couple decades with Kyle Shanahan's father and his tree of coaches that come underneath of him that call football plays. Don't read too far into this one, folks. This is not hire this coach or that coach. Just go out and hire one of these guys. And if I'm ever getting into coaching, I'm doing anything I can to get into one of those buildings to learn from one of those people. I was so blessed to work under Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings during training camp and see what that offense is about. Okay. Offenses with all these coaches, and I'm going to get into them, they mask your weaknesses. They allow your people to play fast. Not you are fast, but play fast. Don't think, react, go rip it up. They get it done, period. Motions, shifts, outside zone, inside zone, gap scheme, power runs, counter. They're creative in the run game. You know, the motions coming back with the tight ends here and the fullbacks there. The majority of them have fullbacks too, by the way. So the fullback position is not done because the Shanahan coaching trees will never die because they produce all of them offensively. I'm not talking about the staffs and defenses and all that stuff, but the screens, the deception, they'll run the same play 3-4 times in a row, but it's all based off of the run game and the play action game. Everything is based off those two things, where in football, everyone thinks spread it out and we're going to take shots down the field. So formationally, everything looks the same, but it's completely different. So the Niners with Kyle Shanahan, Dolphins with Mike McDaniel, Vikings with Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay with the Rams, Zach Taylor with the Bengals, Packers and Matt LaFleur. You know, Gary Kubiak, went back a little bit with what he did with the Texans, right? Okay, offensive line, Matt Schaub, solid quarterback, Andre Johnson, Foster, they lit it up. Schaub went to the Pro Bowl. We remember Matt Ryan in Atlanta and how good they were when Matt won MVP of the league with Kyle Shanahan calling those plays. So to me, they're just, you got to see it on display this week of how hard it is to stop those teams when you have the toys. And if you don't have the toys to get it done, you still can have success. You can have the last pick in the draft and go all the way to the NFC Championship game with your quarterback. You can have a bad O-line and good skill guys. You could have a great O-line and bad skill guys, whatever it may be. You can make it happen and have tons of success. So they're just a few, and there's probably people I left out. But if I'm an owner, how do you not start in there with interviewing people on the job? What do you think, Jack, of those offenses? I know you study the game a lot.
I think if Al Davis was still around, that one of these guys would absolutely be a coach of the Raiders at some point, or somebody from the Shanahan tree. Because if you look at the Miami Dolphins, I'm giving credit to my guy Emery Hunt, who tweeted this out. The Miami Dolphins is what Al Davis has always dreamed of as a franchise, in the sense of just 6 of the fastest dudes on the planet on one offense. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's between Mostert and A-Chain, and I mean, the timing, quick rhythm of Tua, and the fact that he has Tyreek Hill in these deep routes. Jalen Waddle didn't even play. I mean, one of my favorite things about the entire Shanahan system is the fact that fullbacks have pretty much made a comeback under the Shanahan system. You look at Alec Ingold in Miami. You look at Juszczyk in San Francisco. Ham in Minnesota. I mean, they're back. I mean, for as long as it looked like the fullback was pretty much gone in the water, it was your backup tight end was a wing. Okay, you know that better than anybody, really. I mean,
all
so
three
it's just
of those guys can move, can catch, can carry the football, play on special teams. Like, they're not the old school fullback too. They're athletic, very athletic, all three of them. So, and not to cut you off, Jack, but you hit the nail on the head, man. Like, but I'll say this. You need the right coordinator with those guys. Not everyone's like, anybody can be the coordinator of those teams. Yeah, okay, I get it. But not everyone's hanging 70. And that's a Denver defense that's successful. This isn't like a random defense here, guys. Like last year, they were really good. And they have some good players in that defense. Don't get me wrong. That's Sean Payton. Like, that's a good football coach. That's Russ. I thought Russ was doing some things in the game too that were like, he looked like old Russ a little bit. A lot of it. Running, moving, throwing balls that look like the guy's not open, and he throws the guy open. So, like, obviously the wheels get off the bus, and it is what it is. But you're right, Jack. I mean, what the Raiders always wanted, right? So I just think man, those guys are different. The system's different. And the number one way is it masks your weaknesses, period. It masks them. It allows you to play fast. You don't have to be fast. I'm speaking from experience in this in Minnesota. Everyone's like, man, you look quick. Well, there's no thinking.
Mm-hmm. And
You don't have to create anything for yourself. They create it. The offense creates it for you. And then from there, you do what you want with the ball.
Yeah, and like because they have so much quick time rhythm things, it's just very quick passes. Tua's release is already fast it is, and I think it's done so great to help these quarterbacks develop and really not throw them into the water and make them make their own decisions. Like they can, but I mean it's built out for them by these coordinators. Tua looked night and day from Brian Flores, who's not a bad coach; he's an incredible defensive coach. But going from that system to then Mike McDaniel in that offense, it's night and day. Brock Purdy was able to prop himself up because of that and build off of that, gain confidence, and look like a really, really good quarterback. I mean, you can have a really great quarterback that's quarterback play based off that system, but you can prop them up and kind of give them a head start and make them feel comfortable compared to some of these other teams.
I think you made a great the prop them up. Really well said, because they know, it's been done by like 100 guys behind them. And if you just facilitate and do your job, you are going to have a ton of team success. And the best part is with those offenses, there's days where everybody eats. I get it. But it changes it up. It goes from different guy to different guy. That's why like taking Kittle in your fantasy team is really tough. George is, I think, the best tight end in the league. But overall, complete tight end, everything. He does everything under the sun for that offense. Pass block, run routes. People hear me pound the table for him like crazy. Kelsey, I think he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. One of the best wide receivers of all time. Kelsey. Now, he blocks well in space. He blocks linebackers well. The jet sweep stuff, I'm not saying he's soft. I'm just saying his game is different. I want to make that clear to our listeners. Very few are like Kittle and Gronk that can do both and not just at a little bit of a level, an extremely high level. So I digress. And I think like Kittle will have a game where he scores 3 touchdowns and 250 yards receiving. And then he'll have a game where he gets 1 catch and he's not even, he's covered the whole game. But Debo's one-on-one and C-Mac. And it's just, it's fun to watch, man. And I am happy for those guys and those coordinators and all that stuff because I was a part of it in Minnesota. I got to know the tree a little bit of coaches and those guys that are trying to make it up through the ranks. And there are a lot of really good men too. So that's a side note, a little personal note there. Really good stuff. So shout out to our friends at SeatGeek. Use promo code Colin Thompson for $20 off your tickets, $50 or more. A lot of people complaining about going to the Ravens. You know, the Ravens around here, Jack's pretty funny, man. Like a lot like Philly, right? Like they lost, don't get me wrong, but like Lamar did some good things. And I watched the game and I think he's on the uptick. First off, he's a freak of nature. He could be the best athlete in the NFL. I don't even know if it's arguable. Like the things he does with his feet and his arm are ridiculous. And you know, to make a long story short, it's just funny walking around the gym today. Like everyone's like just complaining about him. And, it's just typical. I just had to bring that up. I move on. I digress. Jack,